no.
All right, guys, we're live. Welcome to the Wednesday night live show. We have a special guest today, and I'm going to try to say your last name properly. David Goerlitz.
Goerlitz.
Goerlitz. Yes.
Yep. You got it.
Yeah, I got it.
How are you?
I usually make mistakes, Dave. You'll learn through the show. I make a few mistakes here and there, pronunciations of words and all other things. So, but I'll do my best.
Right.
I'll do my
best easily.
Yeah, these other guys over here, they're usually Tim's my corrector. He corrects everything I make.
Copy editor. Thank you.
Yeah, copy editor. We were talking on another show that maybe we should have a counter down at the bottom of our show. Every time I make a mistake, it just you add to the counter.
I've come up with a great idea. Well, because we have to be able to put money in it. Make it like a swear jar, and every time John makes a mistake, he's got to put $1 in it, and that money goes to CASA.
Oh, that'll work. That'll work.
Are you all members of CASA?
We're all members of CASA, yeah. And we really emphasize everyone in the vape group that's in Sample Box and everybody that's watching the show to join CASA. And I actually had that running down there on the bottom, and there it is. Please join. I got it spelled right. How are you today, David?
You know, I'm doing good. I'm glad you called me, Brian, this past week, trying to put something together because I'm ready to get back in the saddle, as I was telling.
Oh, we lost him. He blew up.
Everybody needs to know that David's in New Jersey, so we may have some issues with power. Internet. So he may be jumping in and out and coming back in and on. So please bear with him. You know, we're just lucky to have him on here. There he's back. There you go.
I don't know why that happened, but anyway, as I was telling you earlier, I took a year off, pretty much, almost a year. I didn't take it off, but I just wasn't available. I unexpectedly lost my wife last August, just about a year ago.
I'm sorry.
And and it threw me for a loop. We're totally blindsided. It wasn't expected. And I just didn't really give a shit about a whole lot, you know, to be honest with you. Facing, you know, that and a year first without her, and, you know, going for therapy in my lungs because I'm facing a double transplant on my lungs. Hopefully I could dodge that bullet with the infusion that I've been getting for the last 8 months. And not wanting to fight anymore and argue with people and, you know, see all the inner fighting with the industry, because I've been involved in the vaping community since 2009. And watching everything grow exponentially, and you know, the market got saturated real quick with, you know, 10.
Yeah, we're going to be having to deal with a little bit of that, guys. So we'll do our best.
Yeah.
We'll do our best to fill in. Yeah, here he is.
Back. I can hear him. He's beeping in.
Is this my computer or yours?
It's your computer, so it's no big deal, Dave. We'll deal.
Yeah, deal. Patience is a virtue. We got you.
We have
anyway, you know, when you have 10,000 different flavors of strawberry, and I was pretty active in the advocacy portion with CASA, you know, CASA and SFATA and VTA and AVA, all, you know, ever since they were, you know, brought forth into existence. And I'm a rebel. I'm militant. I used to say what I want and didn't give a shit what people thought about me, to be honest with you, only because I'm passionate about the alternative of vaping to smoking. Having been the Winston Man from 1981 to 88, and having that guilt that I carried around for 30 years, where my job was to get kids smoking. Obviously, my job wasn't to get a 25-year-old non-smoker to say, you know what, shit, I haven't smoked my whole life. I think I'm going to start tomorrow. You know, it doesn't work that way. 93% of smokers start under the age of 14. So my job was to get kids and recruit them to smoking by being the live action G.I. Joe figure, by mountain climbing and helicopter piloting and all the shit that, mountain climbing and smoking, they go together. You know,
it's like ice cream and beer.
Yeah, the logic behind all of this marketing, $14 billion a year, I fell for it because I was an actor. You know, I was a stuntman. I was a double for Harrison Ford. I did a lot of commercials. I did a lot of movies. So my name was synonymous with macho and tough and rugged when I was younger. My next birthday, I'll be 71. but when I was 30, I was kind of adorable.
We all were at 30.
Yeah, we all were. I was cuter at 30 than I am at 71. So, but I took my job very seriously, and so I also took my job in advocacy to try to get people to never start. Number one, I spent 20 years trying to work with states to get kids in programs to never start smoking in high school and middle school. Yeah. So I did my comeuppance. I paid back. I don't have the guilt anymore. It's not like I woke up one day and I said, "Holy shit, I'm gonna go out and try to find some new concept to help 43, 44 million smokers, get off of tobacco." Because I was in the persuasion that people are going to do what they damn well please, but there was really nothing successful for people to quit. People would quit 7, 8, 9 times. Yep. I don't know about you guys, but we didn't have vaping when I quit in 1988. And so I cheated for 7 years. I smoked and quit and cheated and smoked and quit and cheated. So when vaping came along and I saw the brilliance of it, the concept of how simple it was, but as my good friend Oliver Kershaw said, the very early days of vaping, the stuff tasted like shit. Yeah. It was just no good. And everybody that I knew in the industry from Johnson Creek and all the people who started out back in 2010, 11, and 12. And then it became global. I became synonymous with this whole new culture, but then the culture took off like a rocket. Nobody expected it to take off the way it did. So we couldn't keep with it.
Uh-oh.
I'm here.
Yeah, you're there. You're still there.
Yep.
So anyway, I just want you guys, to know that, the last 11 months or so, I haven't been burying myself. I've just been feeling sorry for myself, and trying to find a new normal, which I don't know what that is, having been married to my wife for 49 years.
I was going to say, and married a long time. Yeah. She died 9 months to the day of our 50th wedding anniversary, and we got married when I was 20 and she was 19. So yeah, I lost her very young. I lost my best friend. So everything else seemed very unimportant to me. And I'm giving you this as background only because, at the same time, the crap was happening with the FDA and the PMTA, and then going back to the original problems we had with marketing and different flavors now, wanting to be pulled off the market by some states. And it just became too much of a drain on my psyche, to be honest with you. Yeah. And I just didn't like a lot of the people that I had met with, through the conventions. I have tons of friends in the vaping community. I love them all, except for the ones I don't. The ones I don't care for know why, and they kind of screwed it up for a lot of people, and I will never forgive them for it because we still have 40 million smokers out there, who need an alternative. We have 10 or 11 vapors who are about to lose their ability to find what makes them feel better when they wake up in the morning to get through their day without having to breathe in 4,760 chemicals and gases and poisons and irritants and vapors. So I just have this passion now. So I'm getting back in the saddle. I'm going to go back to my friends in the industry and see who I can help, who I can back away from, and see where I can become an asset rather than a liability. Because I'll tell you, I would have been a liability the last 11 months if people trying to get me on shows to where I would tell you my opinion. Because I've learned how to curb my tongue. Even though I don't have a filter on my mouth all the time, I know when to shut up and I know when to make peace. But I just got to tell you, this whole industry, and this is how I'll start the program with you folks tonight, is that when I say y'all, I don't mean you guys. I'm specifically. I mean the industry. They went into this thinking that they were in a fair fight. They're never going to be in a fair fight with the government or the FDA or the pharmaceutical companies or big tobacco. And I know that because I've been fighting big tobacco since 1988 when I quit smoking, and I started telling the truth. I was the first whistleblower that came out against the big tobacco companies. And, then when I testified in Congress in 1989, I told them what my job was, and that was to get kids smoking. And of course, everybody was aghast because everybody knew it, but nobody ever said it before. That was basically my first question for you. I think a lot of people have a general idea how aggressive the tobacco industry was and is today. But could you share like any of those stories from the 80s when you were the Winston Man? Did they made you do different, made you, do
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
When I was hired, I beat out 900 other guys. I'm not bragging. I just happened to have the look that they wanted that would, make their cigarette brand, which was Winston, which was number 4 in the country then. In 1980, 81, I don't know how old you guys were in 81, but you were probably
I was
teenager.
I was 13.
Well, when I was in 1981, I had already been married for 11 years. I already had 2 kids with one on the way, and I knew that I had started smoking at 14. And everybody knows that kids start smoking. Even back then, it was 65%, 70% of the teens that I hung out with smoked. It was no big deal. Teachers smoked. We could smoke on an airplane. You could smoke on a bus, in a car. You could smoke in public. I smoked in my office. When I was a young executive at 24, 25 before I started modeling. And then I became the Winston guy. So I knew very early on that smoking was not probably the best thing in the world for me. But, by the time you're 14, 15, 16 and you're hooked with nicotine, and then you start, justifying whatever you do. I mean, I would smoke, with my kids in my arms, holding them out. I'd be smoking cigarettes and blowing smoke right up their nose. And, I just know that how stupid that was now. And if anybody did it today, DIFIS or Children's Services would be called in, And so the major changes that I've seen in the tobacco industry is that they knew as early as 1988, 89, when I was just starting out, that smoking was becoming somewhat considered negative, even though doctors were smoking. I had a doctor who smoked in his office when I went to visit him, And if you look back on all the movies, you see judges and like movies like JFK with Kevin Costner, the jurors are smoking. We've come a long way when it comes to the disgust that people have, but the public was aware that most of their family members smoked, the husband or the wife, the son, the daughter, the mom or the dad. So smoking was apparently a part of the way of life for most American families with somebody in the family, not all, but some. So my job was to find a way to help bring in the market shares for Winston, which was number 4 at the time. Marlboro had always been number 1, and then it was Camel, and then it was Newport. And the Newport brand came in strong because of the African American market, because of the menthol. And the number 1 brand for African Americans is Cool and Newports, but and still is to this day, which is why they're trying to eliminate menthol, which they probably never will, because the NAACP and Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and all the other African Americans will say that there's racism and take it away. So I mean, you can't win for lose it. So at this point in my life, I know that my addiction to tobacco was my choice at 13 or 14 or 15. No one put a gun to my head, but the problem is, and this is where I think the whole story of smoking versus transitioning to vaping. The only thing we hold a teenager accountable for the rest of his or her life, is the addiction to tobacco. If they were hooked on cocaine or alcohol or other drugs, they'd be in rehab and we'd be paying for it. But we've allowed these kids to grow into adolescence and then young adulthood, becoming addicted to nicotine. And then everybody's telling you, quit smoking, you're a pedophile, you're a pervert, you're a schmuck, you're smoking around your kids, you can't do this, you're abusive. And then all of a sudden, in 2007, 8, 9, something brilliant comes along that takes away all of the need that you have psychologically with a hand-to-mouth experience from smoking. You get the nicotine, you get the mist, the vapor, whatever you want to call it. And now we find the success of it to be so grand. That's what intrigued me, seeing how people were successful and immediately coming off of the majority of cigarettes. They may have cheated and, they may have been dual users for a while, but eventually they learned that smoking was not a part of their life anymore because they're getting all of the requirements that their physiology, their mind, their mentality, the emotions. If you're stressed out, you want a cigarette, So
Yep.
when you quit smoking, the worst thing you can do is cause more stress in a smoker. So this became the balance, for somebody who's been struggling, tried to quit forever, either has cancer or emphysema or respiratory problems, and is pregnant woman. A woman can quit smoking when she finds out she's pregnant, but in a lot of cases, a lot of women will start smoking immediately upon giving birth. So I researched all this. I watched it grow exponentially from those little terrible first e-cigarettes, and I took all of my history that I have with the R.J. Reynolds, and that is I'm going to now strengthen my passion for this by telling the truth, and that is tobacco companies do definitely target and market kids. It's been proven. They've been found guilty of it, and they were told that they were being charged with racketeering and marketing to children and child endangerment. So they started backing off, and then at the same time, around 97, 98, then the master settlement came in where $246 billion is going to go into the coffers of 46 states, besides the 4 states that took their money early on in 1998, 99, and 2000. $246 billion came up in the coffers for all the states to now, play with and get their budgets balanced and all that. So we started seeing all of the politics that I knew about anyway. And my whole career for 8 years with R.J. Reynolds was that I became their lead model because I helped move Winston from number 4 to number 2 in just 2 years because of the machismo and the kind of, if you've ever seen my ads, I don't know if you've seen them, but they're.
I remember seeing your
Yeah,
billboards.
I'm rappelling off the side of a mountain. I'm flying helicopters. I'm doing all that macho shit, which most adolescents at 14, 15, 16, and 17 really want. Not all, but some. So we quickly learned that we got to find ways to now get these people who are hooked, who now are being looked at as lepers by family members, because now we know the facts. We know that cigarettes do contain 4,700 chemicals, of which are 58 to 60 are carcinogenic. We know that family members who've been smoking for 30, 40 years are prematurely dying from emphysema, COPD, heart disease, you name it. So I decided that I was really going to throw myself into this and take advantage of the fact that I do have a history with R.J. Reynolds. I do have a history as a smoker since I was 14. And now, lo and behold, at 7 years of age, going on 71, I am now facing the consequences of my 35-year smoking addiction. And that is, like right now, 41 million people who are still smoking cigarettes who may run the risk of no longer having viable alternatives like vaping. And that really pisses me to fuck off. Okay. Yeah. And I'm just angry now, and I'm upset. But I don't want to take my anger and force it down the throats of the wrong people. Okay. And I do know that the politicians don't give a shit about smokers. They don't give a shit about vapors. They could care less. Okay. And that's from my lips to your ears. So when you have all of these organizations, including CASA, who I love, Julie, and I love Alex, and they know me, we've never really coordinated effort because I am a militant big mouth, okay? And what comes out of my mouth isn't always politically sensitive or politically correct, okay? Even Tony Abood from BTA, he came to me and said, we just don't know what to do with you, Mark Anton from Safada, and Shell Hamill and all these April Myers, these people who know me and like me, respect me, we have fun together. They just don't know what to do with me. And I'm saying, well, give me a free rein here. Let me do what I think I have to do. And that is to get my story out. And nobody wanted to help me get my story out because everybody was too afraid that I was too militant. There were state organizations, guys, that didn't even want me to be involved in their meetings because I was too militant. And they're trying to play kiss ass with all of these legislators and lawmakers in their particular states. And again,
I would have loved to seen you at that table, at Trump's table. That would have been great.
Well, I didn't get invited. Would have
been nice to see you there.
Greg Conley. Yeah, I would have been there. If Greg Conley,
he was the only one.
And I love these guys, Tony and Greg. But you know what? I've never sat down in a meeting with them. Isn't that strange? I mean, you'd think that somebody with my credentials, and I'm not bragging, I'm not doing one of these. There's enough of that. But I have inside information that may have been of some use to them. And they knew my story because they all heard me at the conventions when I would do the advocacy portion, and I'd get up for my 7 minutes or whatever they allowed me to have. And you cannot change people's minds in advocacy. And I don't even like the word advocacy. I hate that word because it means, and I looked it up. I know what advocacy means. It means you help people that can't help themselves, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, smokers can help themselves. They can fucking quit. Okay. And they can find a flavor that they like and they try it, and then stop listening to the media telling you that it's as bad as smoking, it's worse than smoking. And this is where we need to back up and say we didn't have a big enough army to really fight this the way we should have. We had a lot of passionate people, but it was just misguided. And we had a lot of young people, and again, not an indictment, but my whole audience.
Do you think it got too spread out? There was just too many groups at once trying to do things, and in the beginning there was all these groups. We talked about this before on the show.
Oh yeah, of course.
There was just too many groups trying to do the same thing and butting heads because their philosophy was better than this guy's philosophy, and it was just in the beginning. I know now it's been cut because
when I saw this happening, there was only one group, and that was CASA. Okay. Yeah. And it was with Julie Wessner, and then Alex Clark came in, and Greg Connolly was even there as an intern before he got his law degree. Then he branched off and went into the AVA, American Vaping Association, and started working with tax reform with Paul and Grover, I guess his name. Yeah. So everybody's branching off, and Cynthia Carbarera left, and then we had the problems with litigation with some of the people running SFATA, because there was some corruption going on early on. And then you had people coming in like, Demetrius and Phil Bissardo, who I became very close friends with because they were quite vocal, with the Tennessee chapter of, Smoke Free Association. And I don't think there was too many organizations that were alike. Consumers is CASA. It's for the consumer. It's for, and there's no fees to join and all that. But when you have the VTA come along, like they did with Tony Abood, and then they started trying to take over, and then everybody was thinking that they were strong arming all of the state chapters, of SFATA or the private groups, and they didn't want VTA interfering. And then VTA started getting, pretty aggressive. And I remember 2 years ago, we were in Austin, Texas. There were two conventions going on at the same time in Austin. SFATA had one convention on one side of Austin, and then VTA had the convention the same night on the other side of Austin. Same state, same city, And I noticed you see Stroud on recently. Lindsay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, she and I took a cab. Right, we were going back and forth from one hotel to the other because we were trying to support both groups. So the answer to your question, I think we had too many groups who had too many egos, who had too much power because they were all looking for the same few dollars that were coming in the form of fees and donations and crowdfunding for that particular group to fight the legislators and the lobbyists in Washington D.C. So I think the proof is in the fact that intentions were good. I'm not taking any of the intentions away. I just think that the human condition is that egos get in the way. Dollars get in the way. And who's ever getting more dollars feel more, aggressive. Big dogs eat first, and the ones who are just getting the scraps are just, little piss ants, being pushed aside by the bigger dogs. So I saw that happening, and I tried to be like Switzerland. I had to be neutral. I wanted to be neutral because I'm trying to work with everybody in all the state chapters. And then I decided that, I can't do this on my own because I don't like some of the personalities of some of the leaders of some of these groups. Okay. And then we had the problems with Duncan Hunter when they were trying to do crowdfunding, the congressman out in California, and then he got indicted and then he resigned in January. And Mark Block was trying to put something together to do, some sort of lawsuit against the government. And, that's why I said early on, y'all in the industry believe that you were in a fair fight. We've never been in a fair fight with these assholes. Okay?
Nope.
And to think that we had, legal options, you're not going to sue the government. Look what's going on in this country today. Look what's going on in the last 6 months, So I didn't see any hope for the vaping community, to be honest with you. So I figured, I'll get into the CBD market because that's where it was going. Last year, everything was going from vape. I had my own e-liquid line, with Vapes Gone Wild outside of Georgia, right outside of where you are, and
I'm familiar with them.
With Trent and Victor Pruitt. So I had three vape lines, okay, and one was nicotine, one was tobacco. One was tobacco because I think when people quit smoking, they just don't want to quit smoking and jump over to rainbow sherbet. They need to gradually titrate off what they want and try other things. And then I had another one that was not so fruity, but just very subtle. And I just wanted people to have a chance to try, whatever milligram they want. If they wanted to start out with 18 or 24 and then work their way, that's up to them. They could do whatever they want. So I had 3 lines with them, but then the market got so saturated. Like I said, who the hell needs 10,000 different flavors of strawberry? Okay, I mean,
right?
Come on, we need a couple that people could choose from. Because smokers, you all smoked before, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what did we have? We had tobacco, we had menthol. That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
That was it. And you had the shitty cigarettes that had been the tobacco had been sitting on barges down in Louisiana for 12 years, and then they finally sell it, as generic, not in the basics, and and now all the good stuff and the tobacco is now being eaten by the tree frogs and the rodents and the ants and people laugh at that, but I did too. But that's exactly what it is. So I know what's going on in the tobacco industry. I've been there since 1988 when I got hired. I was a smoker since how old was I? 64. The same year that Luther Terry, the Surgeon General, came out in his press conference and said, smoking kills. You would think that in 1964, when the Surgeon General says smoking kills, we could have gotten a little bit further than we did until 2009 when Barack Obama came up with the Child Protection Act of the Smoking Act, in June of 2009. That's 45 freaking years that the government didn't do a damn thing. And now they want to control it. Fuck you, I'm not playing games with these people anymore, and they know who they are. And most of them are Democrats. I've been fighting from the very beginning since 1987, 88, 89. When I decided that I quit smoking, I got really, really upset with myself, number one. And then I got really upset with the government, who was now coming in and saying, we got billions and billions of dollars that we can now bring in the form of taxation, like Prop 99 in California. You remember that one? California?
Yep.
For every pack of cigarettes in California that got sold, 25 cents of that money went to prevention, education, intervention, and cessation. And if you've got 30 million people in California, because I believe California has 10% of the nation's population, roughly. If you got 18 to 24% of them smoking, that's a lot of cash coming in. Yep. And then they got greedy, and then other states said, we want a part of that as well. So that's how this whole thing started, and I was privy to it. I was privy to the marketing strategies where the executives from R.J. Reynolds, I don't know about Philip Morris because I didn't work for them, but I worked for R.J. Reynolds, and I know that they were all in cahoots with each other. And Claude Teagues, the marketing department of R.J. Reynolds, said, hey, if they got lips, we want them, meaning who's your target market? They used to say that 14 to 17-year-olds, if they don't capture that market, they're going to be out of business in 10 years. So the facts that I knew, and you probably heard this quote that I testified to in Congress, I was at the top of Mount Evans in 1989 when I got hired, our first shoot. And I'm a 3-pack-a-day smoker. And like I said, jokingly, smoking and mountain climbing and heights don't usually go together.
Right.
So I disconnect my oxygen because at 12,000 feet I needed oxygen, and I'm only 38 years old. Okay, at the time, or whatever it was. It's 31. I was hired in 81. I quit in 88, so I get confused. But I'm disconnecting my oxygen so I can have a cigarette at 12,000 feet on Mount Evans. And the R.J. Reynolds executive, looked at me and he started laughing. I said, "What are you laughing at?" He says, "You're smoking and disconnecting your oxygen." I said, "Don't you guys from R.J. Reynolds smoke?" He said, "We don't smoke this shit. We just sell it. We reserve that for the young, the poor, the black, and the stupid." Yeah. And you would think in 1988 when I testified to that, and that's when it all started hitting the fan for me to be somebody to be listened to because I said it in Congress. And as soon as I said that, all the cameras started going. Yeah. And I became the golden boy for this anti-tobacco movement who now has billions of dollars coming in to fight big tobacco because they'd never had it before. So I was right in the midst of all of this, okay? And you would think that an organization like the vaping industry, okay, or the organizations would think of me as some sort of credible witness to bring in and talk to people in Congress and legislators. But the problem was nobody from these organizations, and I don't mean that again as a indictment. You know, Julie's a lawyer. You know, Greg Connolly's a lawyer. Tony Aboud's a lawyer. You know, and they all have their decisions on how you approach these people in Washington at the OMB offices. I don't really give a rat's ass.
But they don't fight fair either. So
that's why I said they don't fight fair. So let's just take the gloves off, okay? You know, and let's just fight this the way we have to fight, down and dirty. Use their playbook. You don't have to lie. We have all the truth behind us.
Yeah.
Luther Terry said so in '64, and for 45 years they didn't do shit. Yeah. Okay, and in those 45 years, we watched 400,000 people die every year when it could have been prevented had they never started, but they were enticed, encouraged, lured, tricked, targeted, and marketed. And again, kids are the only thing, smoking is the only thing a teenager is held accountable for the rest of his or her life until they prematurely get diseased and die. Now, that doesn't seem very fair now that I'm older and I'm wiser and I'm smarter. And I've been saying this since 1989, guys. You know, when I came out against big tobacco, my family was scared for me, and I was scared for my family. You know, I didn't know what they were going to do, but we didn't have the politics being played like we did in '95 and '98 and 2000.
You didn't really have. Well, maybe a little bit, but you didn't have big pharma involved as much back in the '80s as you do today.
Well, you had some
very little.
You had Nicorette, you had Habitrol, you had Nicoban, you had some of the you didn't have the Shantex yet. That came along later, but they were the fly-by-nights. You know, but I remember very early on when you started wanting to quit smoking, Big Pharma came in, Merck Sharp and Dome, and SmithKline and French. They came up with this new device, you know, that was going to help you. They didn't have the patch until I think 97, 98. Okay, but in the meantime, they knew in '64 that smoking kills, but between '64 and '98, what were they doing? They're sitting there making buttons. So the Big Pharma got involved pretty heavily. You're right. They got involved pretty heavily at the turn of the 2003 and 4 when they started seeing that people were not being successful with their other brands of tobacco harm reduction, meaning Nicorette, Nicoban, Habitrol. So they came up with the patch. You know, wouldn't that be nice if we had a patch for everything? Put a patch on for beer, put a patch on for pizza, patch on for sex, you know, whatever. Just put a frickin' patch on, you know. I don't know. I'm just telling you, my frustration came along. I had these roller coaster rides where I'm feeling like we're making a difference, and then the Democrats, and then the Republicans. Then they started getting their master settlement money in 1998, 99. In perpetuity for the next 25 years, which is now starting to run out, you know, and now you got most of the states who took their money and put it into bonds, and now they got to pay the bonds back, and they don't have the money, so now they're pissed off because the revenues from taxes from cigarettes aren't coming into. So it just goes on and on and on and on and on, which is why I wanted to do my first documentary that I did. It came out in January that I did with Aaron Biebert. I don't know if you saw it, the David Goerlitz story, how I became the Winston Man. If you get bored, go on Amazon Prime. It's only
It's on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. It's the David Goerlitz story, and it's how I became. It was supposed to be the first of 3. The first one was how I became the Winston guy, telling my story like I'm telling you guys now, but it also goes back to my childhood and things like that. And it's only 18 minutes. I wanted a teaser to get people interested, and then the second was going to be how. Big Tobacco has been corrupt, and they've been they've been lying to the American people for years and years and years, and laughing all the way to the bank, et cetera. And then the third one was the vaping, how this wonderful option, this viable alternative, was successful more times than none. 65 to 70% success rates, 95% safer. So I just thought that we could have done more with what we had as far as an army. But unfortunately, they'll even admit it. CASA will admit it, and they need money. They need money desperately. because they don't get money from grants. It's all consumer driven. Then you got the VTA, who gets their money from the organizations who want to be in charge of the lobbyists, because it's important. It's intentionally, you need that, okay? But at what point do you fish or cut bait? When do you stop playing nice? They're throwing grenades at us, and we're throwing back little Nerf darts. We're not hitting the mark. And I could have hit the mark a long time ago, but I wasn't allowed to because nobody wanted to wrap their arms around me and say, come on into the fold. We'll use you as an advocacy situation, because I guess I'm kind of like the pole dancer. I don't know. I go to these conventions and and do the pole dancing and the entertaining, because I happen to have a little celebrity of not only being the Winston guy, but also an actor in commercials and working for Harrison Ford and and doing those kinds of things. So I saw the need for me to be there, and I thought I was important enough to share my story, which I think is interesting. I don't think it's boring. I think it's kind of an interesting story, that if I could have done 3 videos on Amazon Prime with Aaron Biebert, who just did, he did 1 Billion Lives, of course, which I did with him in 2016, and came out in Milwaukee, by the way, and we had the premiere there and got to meet, Herman Cain, who sat right next to me in the premiere, and unfortunately just passed away this last week. I guess you knew that, dealing with Aaron has been a wonderful opportunity. I also am part of the You Don't Know Nicotine movie, which I have not seen. It was supposed to have premiered in May in Milwaukee, but it got canceled because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. That's another show. I just know that there's so much more we could have done, and it's sad that we got all these businesses that are going to have to fold up because they're not going to be able to afford. What Juul just did. They sent in their big, multi-million-dollar check to the FDA this week with 187 clinical trials of their product, which, and they're paying, $1 million for each one or whatever the hell it is. I don't know. But, this whole Juul thing and Puff Bar and all the crap that went on with marketing and the imaging and, child packaging and stuff, we did ourselves in. There's no question about it, and I think the ones that are suffering now are not the vapors, because vaping's going to be here anyway. You're going to find a way to vape. You're going to do it yourself. You're going to make your own coil, build your own coils. If you're into that, I can't vape. I can't do anything anymore because of my lungs. I just can't do it. So I went into the CBD thing, thinking that would help me get off of my pain meds from the accident. I've had 4 cervical spine surgeries, and I've had 2 shoulder replacements from an accident in 2010. So 3 years ago, I got rid of my opiates and my pain meds, and I went on CBD. So I see the transition as being a positive one for me, because I quit smoking. I certainly wasn't going to go back to vaping just for shits and giggles. I wasn't going to start vaping because I had already quit smoking. But what I did do, I started vaping, no nicotine, obviously, 0 nicotine, so I could create a narrative and start letting people see what I'm doing, because I wanted to spread the word that if you're a smoker and you've tried every other thing that's failed, you may want to consider finding the right amount of nicotine. Don't start out with smoking and quit and then go to a 0 nicotine liquid. You have to start high and then work your way down. So I learned as much as I could. I learned about CBD. I learned what a wonderful transition it would be, because let's face it, guys, smokers generally, after smoking for 20, 30, 40 years, if they're not vaping, smokers generally aren't healthy in other areas of their life. I mean, am I right?
Right. You're right.
Generally smokers aren't going out running the track. They're not eating right. They're drinking probably a lot of alcohol, and not all, but some. That was me. That's what I did, and I had obesity issues. I was overweight when I was a kid, and I started becoming lethargic when I got sick, and smoking was something that I did for my own pleasure, and nobody was going to tell me what to do, and nobody, screw you, including my family. I was pretty rough on them because my wife was begging me to quit from the day we got married, and luckily she was able to see me quit smoking before she passed. So I just think that we had a lot more opportunities available to us, and we just blew it in many areas. And it's not the organizations. fault. They tried, they really did. But what it was the failure of the culture, okay, to where we had to, watch the Juul thing unfold. And I don't believe that Juul went out and intentionally marketed the kids. I think Juul became a capitalist movement, where they, I know all the guys that, own Juul, and I know how it was manufactured, and I know how it was made at Pax Labs, and I know where it went. And then the other part of my story is that I was competing with Juul with Von Earl. I don't know if you ever heard of Von Earl, but Von Earl, I was the face of Von Earl for about 3 weeks. Von Earl sold out to Blue, okay,
Yep.
Imperial Tobacco and Fontum Distribution. So Von Earl, okay, which I was the face of, and I did the marketing for him. I did the pictures and posters, and I was going to do a whole ad campaign because I believed in the product. I believed that a disposable was a good way for people who didn't want to spend $300 for a mod and get involved in the expensive gear and all that.
Blue. I started
as a starter. And so, within 3 weeks, I get a Facebook message saying, "Hey, I hear you, Von Earl sold to Imperial Tobacco." And guess who Imperial Tobacco owns? Winston. RJ
Wow.
Reynolds. So now I'm the Winston Man. Now I'm selling, Von Earl Blue, which is now owned by the same people who own Winston. So I looked like I was a horse's ass. Okay. So I had to get a cease and desist, and I had to say, stop, take my picture down. And, and they didn't even tell me. They just went ahead and freaking sold it to Imperial Tobacco, while my face is on there.
Part of the package. You were probably part of the package, David.
Yeah.
That's how you made it feel, I bet. I bet that's how you felt. Yeah.
And I didn't get the sweat off their testicles for that. So I got nothing. I got nothing. So
let me ask you a quick question here, Dave. Hate to put you on the spot here, but I already can tell from the last 41 minutes that I'm not worried about asking you this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel the vaping industry the whole industry is doing to fight back? And the second part of that question is, what do you feel they need to focus on now in the future with PMTAs coming up and all that? Where do you think they should put to the side, and what should they focus on?
Well, I'll tell you what. Here,
on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate the vaping industry?
2.
A 2.
2. Do you know why? Because you got 3% of the vapors doing 100% of the work.
Yep.
Okay. And when you have that kind of lack of when you have apathy, okay, and you have apathy and you just don't care and you don't give a shit because somebody else will do it, you quit smoking. You're doing good. You got your flavors. You're stockpiling. You're getting free shit at the conventions when we had them up until last year. I saw the conventions from Chattanooga in 2014. When I went down to Chattanooga with Dimitri and Phil and Austin and all these people that were coming in there when Cutwood was really big, and throwing the free shit out to the audience and cheering and and I just saw that this was not good. This was not what was going to help make this alternative attractive to a 70-year-old or a 60-year-old, because young people with their hats sideways and the tats. Not that my son has tats all over and I have ear. It's just the persona, okay? The 60, 70-year-old does not want to go into a vape shop. It looks like a head shop, to a lot of people.
Didn't want to. I was in my late 40s when I started, and I felt very uncomfortable walking in there.
Yeah, well, so at this point, I'm trying to fight these cultural, beasts out there because it grew so quickly. Then the market became so saturated. Then we had all this inner fighting going on, between organizations. And Safada hated because, VTA, and VTA didn't like them. They said they liked them, but they really didn't, and they were all trying to vie, like I said, vie for the same few dollars that were coming in. Nobody wanted to go out and fight. So I would give it a 2 or a 3 as far as the effort. The effort was there. But when you go to these OMB meetings and you go to these fly-ins in Washington, like the VTA would get 300 people to come in. 300 people is nothing when you got 10 million vapors out there, and 9,800,000 of them don't know what the hell's going on. They just know they can go to a vape shop and buy a 30 ml bottle, until taxes go up to where it's no longer affordable with it, depending upon the state that you're in. So the whole thing, we grew quickly and we crashed quickly. Okay. And we crashed quickly, primarily, in my opinion, because they didn't focus on what they really needed to do. And that was to fight the lobbyists, fight the lawmakers, fight the OMB, fight the FDA, which Mitch Scheller and Scott Gottlieb, and do what we should have done 4 years ago. And that is going in as aggressive and as pissed off and as angry like I was after my wife passed away last August. Okay. Yeah. She didn't deserve to die. Okay. She didn't choose to die. It happens. But when people choose to die because they don't have an alternative to quit, and we're taking that choice that is so obvious away, that makes me furious. Okay. Yes. And yes. I think you get more, people say, well, you got to use honey. No, you don't have to use honey. I'll throw shit in their face, if I have to get them to listen, because these politicians don't care. They care about one thing, and that is their own narcissism, their own belief system, and the fact that they are now getting paid for the rest of their life. If they get voted out tomorrow, they get a paycheck for the rest of their life.
Beautiful pension. A beautiful pension.
Yes, yes. And so I'm over it. I'm done with it. I'm above the opinions that other people have of me. I pretty much always have been. But I'm just saying, I think the group that are out there now, Sherwin, who's fighting really hard down at Sherwin Mina, and Tristan and all these other people, you may not like their approach. I certainly don't like a lot of things that they do. They don't like a lot of things I do. I may not like a lot of things you do. But so what? You do what you have to do, because everybody's affected differently. I'm not going to reach everybody. You're not going to reach everybody. But together, if there's some unity, we need to focus on the unity. And I know VTA wanted to be in charge. They wanted to run the whole show, and they probably would have done a really good job. But I don't think that they were able to pull in the SFATA people and all the other independents who have been fighting before VTA even came along. Okay. And then when you got Juul giving VTA, a couple $1 million, before the buyout of $13 billion in November 2 years ago, when Philip Morris took them over, that's a lot of aggression money. That's where you can go in there and we can say, hey, we can do more for your state than your state's doing for themselves. So, it became a strong arming thing, and while they're all patting themselves on the back and doing awards programs, which is what they did. When I was in Austin, they had awards program on one side of the city and awards program on the other side of the city. What awards? You're helping people live longer. That's your goal. You're making some money. You make quality products. You give your clinical trials. You get rid of all the shit that's in there, like the diacetyl. You get rid of all the stuff that we know is going to be bad. I think every product that's manufactured should be reasonably, we should know what's in it. I should know what's in my butt.
Yeah, no, you're right. Anything that you're putting into your body,
you should know.
You should know.
Reasonable regulations, and I think we started out with that. Huh?
I don't understand their philosophy. They're worried about their recipe. And I'm like, give me a fucking break. Like you said, how many strawberries flavors are out there? What is the difference between your recipe and your strawberry than the other guys?
It's premium.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's
everybody's got premium.
Because when I heard that, to me, that's a cop out. I mean, it's just like, well, we're afraid to lose our recipe. Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I know.
What recipe?
Well, you're right. You're 100% right. But you guys are younger than me. Okay, I got a lot of years. I mean, there's probably two of you that if I put two of you together, I'm still younger than two of you together.
Well, me and Tim are 52.
So. Yeah, we're the old folks.
Me and Brian are 40.
Yeah,
40. Okay, yep. Yeah, you're 40. Okay, well, 40 is good. I remember 40.
Me too.
I remember 40. I was full of piss and vinegar, and I was really gung ho, and I was, traveling and making money and raising my family and doing all that stuff. But at the same time, I was smoking at 40. I was, 3 packs a day, and I quit smoking in 1988. No, I was 38. I'm sorry. I quit smoking at 38 because my brother was dying of cancer, and pretty awakening when you wake up and you see your brother's dying of cancer and he smoked and your kids are begging you to quit, which is what I talked about in A Billion Lives. It certainly was a wake up call for me to, be a role model for my kids rather than a model on the billboards. So I decided that I was going to do whatever I had to do for the rest of my life. But I'll tell you what, it sneaks up on you guys. I mean, 52, you're still a baby. Okay, both of you are 52.
I feel like a baby.
Okay, and you 40-year-olds, I didn't want to talk to you. You got a lot of information, and you're in a world right now that I'm over with. I really am. I'm on the downside. What do I have to lose? Ever since my wife died, nothing's important to me anymore except my health, my children, and the few friends I have. Okay, and I don't really want to go out, clubbing and meet new friends, and that's not who I am now. At 40 or 52, yeah, I was having a good time. But when you guys sneak up on 65 and 68, and in the world that we live in today, and you gotta raise your kids in this shithole of a world that we're living in, this train wreck. We better get our act together really fast. And I don't care where you stand politically; it doesn't matter anymore, because it doesn't matter who's in office, because we're screwed. And I just think that right now with the vaping thing, we could really go after the people who have made the smokers' lives miserable, and that is big tobacco. And the big pharmaceutical companies are sit right there in the next wing waiting for us to go away, because they're all in cahoots together, guys.
Yeah.
Big tobacco, big pharma, they're in cahoots together. They don't give a shit about vapors. They could care less. And RJ Reynolds and Philip Morris making views, and Mark 10 and now the IQOS, and you watch, within 3 years, my guarantees and my predictions are that, vaping industry as we know it, of course, will probably be done. You'll have to get your views and your Mark 10 and your IQOS or your other, liquids on the black market. That's where we're going to be. It's going to be black market. You mark my words. Black market is going to be huge if it's not already.
Yeah. It's already huge in New York, New Jersey.
Where?
New York and New Jersey.
Yeah, I know. I don't know specific states anymore because I haven't really watched it like I used to, but I'm going to get back into it, and I'm trying to find. See, I'm not employed. I'm no longer selling CBD with Pinnacle. I had my own brand of the David G line with Pinnacle, and I love it. I love Pinnacle. I love Kevin Lacey and his wife and the whole crew out there. But when February came around, and he was branching off into, the kratom and all the other hemp industries and the dispensaries. And he saw the handwriting on the wall with flavors for his vape shops that he had. He was going to concentrate on marijuana, and hemp. And he did. So we decided that it would probably be best for me not to be a part of that because I don't vape. I have a medical marijuana card because of my injuries, but I'd never used it. I'm not saying that I don't like some edibles now and then. I really, I mean, and I do, and it's legal, and I'm fine with that. And I tell my kids, my daughter who has a stressful job, you might need a mother's little helper now and then, I am all for that. I'm all for the CBD and the hemp industry to flourish, because anything that'll help a person enhance the quality of their life is what I want to be a part of now. But I don't have an employer anymore. I'm done. I don't have the David G line of e-liquid, because it's now oversaturated and they're not selling, and I'm done with that. And the vaping industry, to me, has nothing to offer me, and I don't have anything to offer them because nobody's willing to brand anything because of the PMTA. Nobody's willing to really do anything until all this is over. It's on hold. Everything's on hold right now. So, but the CBD thing, I don't know if you guys do CBD or you're involved in CBD or you've transitioned over or go ahead. Yeah.
What's funny is everything's on hold, but new lines and new flavors are coming out every fucking day. That blows me away.
I know, and now you got all of these, and I have a lot of friends who have dispensaries, and right now you got this oversaturated. You got lots of people who transition, or they're still doing vaping, but they're also doing CBD because they had to find a way to increase their economy, and their cash flow. And it was an easy transition for a lot of people. I don't know how, because I don't know that much about the farming and the marketing of it. But I do know that my name carries some weight, and I would like to be a part of the hemp industry and the vaping industry again if we can get through this. But I know the vaping thing is on hold, and I know the CBD people have their priorities, and that is to get their buildings together, to get their inventories up, to find what sort of products they want to have to stay competitive with everything. Like you said, everything's coming on the market all at once, and you can now buy when you buy sushi at a gas station, you get CBD. I've never had sushi at a gas station. Have you? I heard
No.
Sushi at the gas station.
I heard it's pretty crappy.
Not sushi, but I travel with a band every so often, and the drummer buys pickled quail eggs from the gas station. That's just gnarly. I'm like, dude, you get out of the van. I don't even want to go the next 3 hours with you.
No, all I can tell you guys is that, you know, if you have a passion for what you believe in, you know, don't give up on it. And I know you guys have fun on your show. I like a drink now and then. I like my wine. I can't drink beer right now because of my liver condition.
Wine too.
What?
I love my wine too.
Yeah, well, my hepatologist, see, what my disease is, I have the alpha-1 gene, and let me explain in real 30 seconds because you may want to. This may be of interest to you. The alpha-1 gene means that you have a deficiency of antrypsilin, which is what keeps your lungs healthy, but it keeps your lungs healthy when you're not smoking cigarettes and 4,700 chemicals and poisons and irritants. Okay, so people who don't smoke can still get lung cancer if they have the alpha-1 gene. I mean, you've heard of people get lung cancer but never smoked a cigarette in their life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are the people who probably have the alpha-1 gene deficiency. Are you guys with me? I've lost 3 of you.
No,
we're here.
We hear you perfectly.
You there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We hear you, Dave.
Okay. So my disease starts from the liver. I don't have liver disease. I just the liver.
Oh, now he's gone.
We lost him. In a second.
That was in real time. You got to see what it's like as the internet starts to crash on one side. You know, that was like a gradual.
There you go.
Like when he can't hear you anymore, you know it's going to crash.
We got you.
The liver is what produces antrypsilin, and mine doesn't. I make too much protein and it doesn't leave the liver, so therefore it doesn't get to my lung.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have to have infusions every week. So I'm pretty limited as to what I can drink alcoholic wise for the liver while I'm going through all this stuff. So wine is my favorite. You know, I used to love beer and I used to love my rum and Diet Coke, but you know, I've learned to adjust. I mean, when you get older, you adjust. You know, I every morning I pee at 7 a.m. Unfortunately, I don't wake up till 8. But what do you?
It's your own personal alarm clock. You get that. I was giving him the only line.
Oh, he got Zuckerberg on the pee joke.
He violated Facebook standards, so they. There you go.
Okay, so enough about me. What do you suggest I do with my story and my passion and my history? What do you see me? Do you see any value in what I could possibly do to help the industry?
I do. I would absolutely love for you to get a sit down with Trump. I think you deserve a sit down with Trump, a one-on-one. I don't think I don't know. I think he cares. I think he's pissed that his wife brought up the subject of vaping, but I think he sees the business end of it, and I think he sees what big tobacco and big pharma, why they're fighting.
Yeah, I think so too. And I get emails from Donald and Eric Trump every day.
Get it.
Like all of us.
You get him too, huh? he wants me to come to dinner with him. Donald tells me.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're sort of in the death throes of being able to present our argument, right? Because now we're kind of like mining the bottom of the barrel. You know, now we're kind of fighting the whole, banning of the post office being able to carry vape products, which is going to impact the vape community because, if they have to transition to FedEx and UPS. What I honestly, hindsight is 2020, and I don't know if we have these opportunities still yet to present themselves. I would have loved to have seen David on the panel in front of Congress, in front of the House, making the argument. I know that there was that one because the one thing that is very that pisses me off the most is that we kind of get these little sunbursts of opportunity to say what we want to say, you know, especially like when the state bans are coming down, and then everybody gets to show up and say their minute and a half of peace, you know, which really it doesn't matter if you have 100 people standing there. Yeah, it just they just feel like you feel like you're being swatted like flies. You know, you're at a barbecue and they're like, yeah, leave me alone. But
it's
you know,
political theater. You're right.
Of course, and maybe those judiciary meetings or those things that you see televised all the time. But there was an incident not long ago where they had a consumer advocate had to sat there and gave her story, and she was basically bullied by Rashida Tlaib, and you know had her calling her a conspiracy theorist, but dreaming up her own conspiracy about a wink that happened on the panel.
Yeah,
I would love to see David. I think you know, if you're in the death throes, you know, it's kind of like a Braveheart, you know, like a freedom moment. You know, they're getting ready to slice you open. And I would love to see David just lay the smackdown on him, you know, in front of a whole entire panel, you know, and get a good solid, you know, 5 to 10, 15 minutes of speech time where we don't get that. I mean, when they have the other meetings, you've got the CDC and the FDA and all these people sitting, and they get all this time to spit their bullshit and tell lies. And then there's no opposition scientists or doctors or anybody that gets to step up and speak. Yes, we have the VTA, the AVA. I mean, you have our representation, but is that the argument? Should we be refuting what these other scientists are saying? And you come right. I mean, talk about getting it from the horse's mouth. I mean, you were there when, you know, smoking was used as a device to hook generations, you know.
There go my frustration. I've been wanting to do what you've been saying for a long time. I just never got invited to the dance. You know, it's personal. I take it personally in the beginning. You know, like, you know, when I met Tony Abboud down in Vegas or wherever the hell it was, he wanted to get together with me, and we were going to do this, we were going to do that. You know, and nothing ever happens because they get busy and everybody's busy. Okay. Sure. And when you have a lawyer who's I'm not smart. Okay. I'm street smart, but I'm not, I barely got out of high school. Okay. My goal was, I told my dad, I only need a 67 to pass. I mean, that's about, that was my goal oriented, you know, that was what I had to work with. So I know what value I have in this industry when it comes to vaping, because I'm pretty smart on the vaping industry and the ingredients and how I just don't like the bullshit, that comes with it, because there's bullshit in everything. Politicians are bullshit, doctors are bullshit, cops are bullshit. You know, I have friends who are like, some of my kids are bullshit sometimes. You know, I don't always like my kids. I don't always like my doctor. I don't always like a cop. I don't always like so it's a lot of it's bullshit. Okay. But when the truth is the truth is the truth is the truth, and you say it like you're talking about, you know, coming from the horse's mouth, you would think that I would have a little bit more pull and credibility than some attorney who's just going to sit there and start spewing facts. Okay. Because these people aren't even listening. They're on their iPad, you know, they're on their phone, they're texting, they're playing games. They don't give a shit. So I want to make them give a shit. I don't want to be a brand, you know, for anybody. I want to be a voice, you know, and I want to be a voice that's loud. And I want to be a voice that gets heard. And the people who know me and the people who like me, and that's hopefully most people who know me, because I've never done anything wrong other than not have a filter on my mouth and become a little too militant in an arena that where politics is being played because you want to play fair. We can't play fair in this. You know, there's no way. They're not playing fair, so why should we? So that's my whole goal. When you have, you know, right now what we have is a perfect storm. And the perfect storm is you got the political division right now. You got a country that's falling apart. You got an economy that's falling flat on their face. And the last thing on people's minds right now is what somebody is doing to themselves by continuing to smoke or vape, you know, because they've been now conditioned as a public to say, you know what, if you smoke, it's your own fault, you know, quit or die. And that's the attitude that a lot of people have anymore, especially in 2020 right now with all the information we have. But the lies that have been told and the corruption that's been coming down the pike since 1964, okay, it's been there. and they've been caught, and they get a free pass at every turn, and they get a free pass because they control, just like Big Pharma and the gun lobby controls most of the government right now. For every congressperson and senator we have in the United States, there are over 30 different lobbyists going after each and every congressperson and senator
Daily.
So, tobacco is one of the biggest, and the profits are huge, humongous. The master settlement agreement is a fraud.
This country was made from big tobacco and cotton.
That's right. Absolutely. It's even on our currency.
It goes all the way back to 1700s. I mean,
we've been talking about, the history of, reparations for the slavery and reparations for the Black Americans, whose parents or great grandparents were slaves. They want money. My parents didn't have slaves. I didn't have slaves, and I'll be damned if I'm going to, worry about paying somebody back. But the history is history. They want to take down statues now, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not going to get into that. But, if we're going to talk about history, let's talk about the billions and billions and billions of dollars that were spent to entice, encourage, lure, trick, target, and market. And again, if everybody who started to smoke was 25 or 30 years of age, and they said, I don't give a shit what you do, really. Okay. But when you're 13, 14, 15, 16, your life sucks. You're going through puberty, you're getting bullied, you don't have any friends, you're moving around all the time, you're overweight, you can't swim, you can't.
In the 50s and the 60s, it was so socially accepted to smoke. Even at that age, at 14. Yeah, if 14. You were smoking at 14, there was something wrong with you in the 50s.
When I went to high school, you couldn't smoke if you were a freshman or a sophomore, but you could smoke, lunch break at 16 outside.
Yeah, so it was for us too. We were just talking about our last show.
Yeah, and when you smoked in the bathroom, you couldn't go into the boys or girls' bathroom without having this huge cloud. Yeah. Some of the teachers would come in and take a hit off of your cigarette because they didn't have time to go to the faculty lounge to have their own. So I mean, things have changed a lot, and I'm glad they did, because we know how horrible tobacco can be when it's a carcinogen and when it's burning, and you get the synergy. But when you have an alternative that's 95, 96% safer, then you got to start questioning the motives of where we're coming from. Because every doctor you talk to, it, guys, for every scientist, there's an equal and opposite scientist, depending upon where his or her check's coming from.
That's the problem, because in 2016, they pretty much got their hands tied. We couldn't say certain things any longer. The industry couldn't say it was going to help you. Everything was listed as a tobacco product, and it made things harder on the industry. But to me, that was the opportunity for the consumer, because the consumer can say whatever the fuck he wants. I mean, I can say, exactly. And it just seemed like they were happy. And that's the thing about this industry. I've been, I'm into a little bit of politics, and I see how things work. And this is the only industry or group of people that are happy with little small wins. You know what I mean? It just, to me, it's just like, it's a win. That's a win for us. I said, yeah, that's a win, but we lost 6 other things.
There's not enough wins on the scoreboard. You're right.
Not in this industry. There's not.
You get one win. You get, what? When they postpone a hearing, okay, that's not a win. That's a delay. Okay,
they take that as a win in this community.
Take it as a win. So to answer your question that you asked me 15 minutes ago, is that what do they need to focus on? They need to focus on unity and more wins in the corner, and not be afraid to speak your minds, and tell people how you really feel, and and get loud, get aggressive.
Quit worrying about playing fair.
Yeah, quit worrying about what the fuck Smock is putting out, or this company's putting out, and focus on the community. Because guess what? In 6-7 months from now, you won't be able to. It won't fucking matter what the hell Smock is putting out, or another vape company, because guess what? You're not going to get it. You're not going to have it.
The people need to put their big boys and girl panties on and step up to play, get out of the sandbox, and do what you just said, and stop, trying to play fair, because they're not. We shouldn't either. We should get loud. We should get aggressive. And I know there's a lot of people who want to do it. They just that we don't have a big enough army anymore. Right now, people are so distracted. They're so burnt out. They're frustrated. They lost a lot of money in their stores. They put their life savings in it, and they've taken the money that they had. Now they got to do black market like we're talking about, in Jersey and other states. It's going to happen, and it's going to be huge. Right now, the big guys, the big dogs are going to eat, and those are going to be your black marketers. These are the ones that are going to make all the money, and the little guys still going to be left on the, wayside. So it's sad, and I'm pissed off, and I'm angry, but I'd like to do what you just suggested, and that is get in front of Trump and his staff and let them know how I feel.
We'll start a hashtag.
Yeah, please do. Feel free. I'll go. I could be in Washington in 3 hours, and I'll meet him on the golf course. I don't care where he goes. I don't care if he's
anything about the rally that's coming up
September 5th, right?
Yes. You should be speaking there. Matthew should have you come and speak. I'm sorry.
Matt Salter?
Yeah.
Matthew Elliott.
Matthew Elliott.
Yeah, well, Matt and I are friends, and I think a lot of people think that I just died on the vine because
No.
They do. I think a lot because I haven't been on Facebook and I don't watch it anymore.
Some personal time. Yeah, I mean that's
well, Matt and Sherwin and Tristan and the Legion, they know who I am. They know what I'm what I'm all about. and Matt is a great guy. I think he's a strong fighter. Yeah. And Spike, all these people up in New York that I've been friends with from the beginning. They know what I'm capable of doing, but no one's given me the opportunity because I haven't been invited. They'll say, well, we did invite you. Okay. Well, Matt and I, if I call Matt and say, I want to go, he's, oh yeah, come on. But I think a lot of people look at my health issues because I've had some issues in the last 2 or 3 years to where they're saying, well, we probably don't want to bother him, bother me. I got, who Sean Casey is? Mm-hmm. Up in Canada. He's in charge of the CVA, Sean Casey. And, he's a big one of the owners of Flavor Art up there, so he's been a big. I talked to him today at length, and I'm doing Patrick Reif's show on Friday night because I want to start, like I said, get back into the swing of things. But hashtag me all you want, and talk about me.
We'll come up with one for you, Dave.
Okay. Yeah, I want to help win. Mm-hmm. I don't know what we can do. I don't know if there's salvation. Sean doesn't think there's a lot of salvation for the industry, as far as long term. But I think if we have a shot, we should take it. We have nothing to lose anymore. You guys should be able to vape whatever you want. You should be able to go into a store freely and buy the gear that you want that makes you feel good, that makes your life, that enhances your life, and you should not be having that taken away only because they don't like it, or the big tobaccos have more money and
or because parents can't be parents.
That's right, or like the paid people, those bastards, soccer moms. They need to go play mahjong. They just go up and go play fucking mahjong. Whatever. Is that mahjong? Mahjong. It's a card game.
Yeah, the matchy domino game.
Yeah, I can't stand those women. And they're sitting across the table from Trump and Greg Connolly and Tony Abood, and she's been doing 3 months, fighting for Joel, get to my chip kids, and I'm sitting here, play with myself because I can't get to Washington or get invited down there, and not that I would have Trump's ear, but I'll tell you what, if you give me an opportunity to just speak my mind, I'll speak it, but I can also be courteous. I can also, put a filter on my mouth, and I can be kind, and I also can be pissed off, and being pissed off there's nothing wrong with a good dose of anger therapy if it's directed at the right people.
Right.
Right.
And unfortunately, too many people are directing their anger at strangers and people they don't know just to get a rise out of them. And that's not my purpose. My purpose is to help the remaining smokers who need an alternative to quit, because I know they want to quit. They just are confused by the lying media, which is nothing but scum. I mean, we don't have reporters anymore. They're just stenographers who know how to cut and paste, and they do what they're told to do. So,
exactly.
And I believe that I could be a benefit and an asset to some organization. And again, Alex Clark and Julie and the people at CASA know me, and I love them. I think they're great people. And Mark Anton, forget it. He's just one of the most awesome people. He's in charge of Safada, and April Myers and all the other people that have been building that organization. I don't know that much about Tony Abood, but I do know that he's got a lot he's got some big ones, okay? You know, and he's not afraid to go toe to toe with people, but he needs a bigger army behind him too. But right now we're all in different directions. We're all going this way.
Yeah, that's the one of the problems.
Yeah. So that would be my answer to your question of an hour ago, and that is unity and togetherness. And
I'll give you the famous drum roll sound. There you go.
Yeah. So that would be my wish for this industry, and we don't have a lot of time to do it, but and I don't know how many people are going to put their applications in, and how many people are going to have to mortgage their properties to do it. But I just wish them the best, and I just want them to not lose their life savings over lies and corruption and greed, because greed will always outweigh fear. You know that, and these politicians. You know, like I said, they don't care about. They're not fearful because they have a paycheck for the rest of their life and benefits and health care. So we need to make that known. But right now, the people are just they don't know what to believe anymore. But I'll tell you what, people believe me, but they've never done anything with me. That's what hurts. You know, there's no one who's ever called me a liar. No one's ever questioned what I said. It's all true. It's been verified.
I was going to ask you that. So you when you kind of had your epiphany, and you know, I think you said it was in '88 when you quit smoking, and then you kind of switched gears and went after the tobacco companies. Did you see them actively coming at you to try to silence you and not tell the story?
Oh yeah, I had to move my family out of town because my life was threatened and my car caught fire up in New York, and it was stolen, and somebody took my tags off. They were trying to discredit me, and I didn't know it. But I started my car. It didn't blow up. It caught fire. So my wife and family was
the last place I would want to be if I pissed off the mob or a big corporation. And as New York, New York City, just too many corrupt. I'm not saying they're all corrupt in New York, but there's a lot of corruption in New York.
Yeah, but when you asked that question, that reminded me of something. But I did 7 depositions when the lawsuit and master settlement agreement was being discussed.
Yeah.
And you know the story behind that, right? Florida, Mississippi, Minnesota, and Texas were the first 4 states to get, close to $40 billion. Okay.
Right. They were the 46 billion, I believe.
They were 46 billion. Yeah, 46 billion. I think Mississippi got 12, Florida got 12 or 10. Minnesota got a little bit less because it was based on per capita, in Texas. It came up to 46 billion. Billion.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the other states wanted some of that money. So they all decided they had 72 hours to accept the offer of 200 billion more that would be divided in their states, as long as cessation went down, which is when you started getting bogus numbers from the National Tobacco Youth Surveys. Which were all bullshit. Okay, because they had to show the numbers going down or they wouldn't get the money. So I started doing depositions for these states in Texas and in Minnesota and Mississippi. I was brought down by these attorneys, and I gave my deposition. But it was scary because you never knew who was lurking in the corners, because their lawyers from R.J. Reynolds and Philip Morris and British American Tobacco and American Tobacco, they're all saying, we don't want to pay this money. So, here I'm telling the story that I just told you guys about the young, the poor, the black, and the stupid, and targeting and marketing minors. So I became the credible witness, whistleblower, insider. And then they did a movie about. Did you ever see The Insider? The movie,
The Insiders.
Insider. Russell Crowe.
Yeah,
I know the movie you're talking about, but I never saw.
Yeah. And he came out against this. I forget the guy's name now, but he was a friend of mine down there. We both did depositions, and the story was about him because he worked for Brown and Williamson. Okay, and he was in the marketing department. So he and I were kind of like balanced on what we knew about the inner workings of big tobacco. So yes, to answer your question, I was scared to death. I was doing these depositions, but then we didn't have the kind of drama that we have today in the 80s. If it was happening today, Jeffrey Epstein, ring a bell. So and when you know something. When you know something and you want to tell the story, you got to name names or you don't have credibility. So I was naming names. I tell you what, all of these senators and lawmakers that I named names, I'm talking about Sherrod Brown in Ohio. I'm talking about Ed Markey and, Carl Waxman and, Jay Rockefeller and all these assholes, and the Democrats and some asshole Republicans too. I'm not picking one, but the majority were Democrats trying to, give tobacco a free pass on everything they do, but just start taking away the rights of people to vape. That's when this whole thing started for me in 2007, 8, and 9. So I'm not scared anymore because you can't hurt me.
Yeah.
I'm on the downside of my life.
No.
If I could beat this lung thing, you're not gonna be able to stop me. And once I get through this, I want to be a voice, like I said, not a brand. But I'll be a brand too. I mean, I'd like to brand something, put my name on something I'm proud of. Whether it be a vaping e-liquid. Maybe I'll get back to that if I can find a good manufacturer or a good, company that wants to, after they get through this mess and this train wreck of PMTA. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions you got for me, guys?
Brian, Tom, you got
the two quiet kids up on the upper right there.
I'm just listening.
those youngsters.
Two quiet kids.
Well, I know we've been Facebook friends for quite a while and stuff, and I've been watching your posts and I kind of know what's been going on, so I haven't asked questions upon that, but I do think that maybe you could help with this too, is that with all the stuff that we've lost, the groups and stuff, do you think that we've gained more of the hardcore people that want to in it to win it type people?
Oh yeah, no question. When you got the people that have been jumping ship because it's no longer fun for them, they don't get free shit anymore. There aren't any tobacco conventions, and they want to go to hang out at their favorite vape shop, and they can't now. They're kind of like saying, "Fuck it." This is the new norm for us. This is how the world goes around. This, the wheels of the bus go round and round. But the hardcore guys, the ones I mentioned,
mm-hmm.
they're all heroes.
Yep.
You got, especially Matt Elliott, who doesn't care what people think about him either.
Right.
And you got Andrew Osborne up in New York, and he's been fighting, dog tired too. All the New York people, and so I feel bad for all these people, but they keep plugging. But I would have been plugging right with them had I not had the kind of year I had with my loss and my health and all that. So, and that's not an excuse. That's just an explanation. So, could I get back into it? Yeah. Am I interested? Yeah. Do I want to? Absolutely. So, yeah, I do think the hardcore survivors are the ones who are going to be most vocal. And I think we make a better army. It's not the numbers, okay? It's the content, okay, and character of the people who are fighting for the right reasons. Yeah, people should make money, and there's a lot of people who've made a lot of money in vaping. There's no question about it. And I'm not just talking about Juul, and I'm not just talking about Blue, and I'm not just talking about Puff Bar. I'm talking about the little guy, who came up with some great flavors, and I don't care if they made the flavors next to the urinal in their back garage. It doesn't, because that's where a lot of them came from. If you guys know that,
there's a lot of little guys that did really, really well. Exactly. They had great flavors. They had smart marketing.
Right, and some of the marketing was childlike, and some of it needed to be addressed.
Yeah, talking about those guys, but most of the smaller ones that did it right, that had the basic labels, the basic flavors, and just market it to the smoker. Those
Their
are the
intentions were real. I mean, there's no question about it. But the ones, you do 99 things right, nobody knows. You do one thing wrong, everybody knows.
Right.
And that's kind of like what happened with our industry in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, the conventions were always a lot of fun for me. I went to as many as I could. I'd go down there and I'd speak for my 7 minutes, but you can't get people excited because everybody's listening to the loud music with, Rod, Rod the Rod Man, and who I love. He's like we're brothers from different mothers. And
we call him #free shit.
Hashtag free shit. but Rod's like my baby brother. And, I love all these people, and I miss them. I miss them terribly, And
we talked about it was a couple shows ago. I forget who our guest was, but we brought up the fact that you're talking about some of the people that are in this industry that have taken off, not just the shops, but the the distributors and the juice companies.
Yeah.
But a lot of we brought up the fact that a majority of these people were very young.
Yeah.
They were very young. They didn't know how to manage their money. They didn't, you know what I mean? They were happy. Some of them became millionaires
I know.
within months.
I know.
And those are the ones. Some of those are the ones that you're talking about. That they seen it 2-3 years down the road what was happening, and they left.
Yeah, no, they made money while the sun was shining,
Yep.
you know, and that was it. And then they went on their way. So your question is a legitimate one. Who's left? You know, do we have an organization besides CASA? Is VTA still up and running? I don't know. I know Safada is, and I know that Mark Anton and April Myers, and these are quality people. These are people that, you know, would give anything they had to help this industry, you know, thrive and stay alive. And they're frustrated too. But, you know, they're all very smart people. Okay. And I say smart in a way where sometimes, you know, you can be so smart, you can be stupid, you know. Sometimes there's no common sense or logic, but that's not the leaders of these groups I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that are on the sidelines who want to help. You know, they think they're helping by being vocal, but they don't know what they're talking about, you know. And I think that's where we really need to, you know, come together and let some person, some group, some organization, you know, Vapors of America, United Vapors of America, come up with something new, you know, something that's going to, you know, and I know that Matt's involved pretty heavily on Matt Elliott and Sherwin. Yeah. These are all good people who have good ideas, but they're not getting the support that they need. And I'll admit it.
And it's got to be frustrating for them. I know how frustrating it can be for Matt too. Just, you know, when he sees, you know, when he posts something and it just no one comments on it. But you know, you put up a post, you know, that says, "Hey, you get free shit if you do this." And
it's
then
like 200 likes and like a whole bunch of shares instead.
Yeah, we're all in the same boat together on this, and I couldn't agree with you more. You know, and we don't have to like everybody and their personalities, you know, and I don't happen to like a lot of people who are
we're all fighting for the same common goal.
Exactly.
Everybody needs to realize it. It's just like you said, I don't have to like you as long as we have the same common goal. And our goal is to keep our flavors on the shelves and us having choice.
Yeah. Yep. I was asked to be on a board for something, and somebody said, no, he's too militant. You know, I don't think I'm too militant.
I don't know. I don't know that that's a wrong approach. Like you said, I mean,
now I think it's what we need.
Right. Well, for different forms, maybe a measured approach makes more sense. So, like, let's say a sit down with all those people sitting around in front of Trump. You know, maybe that's not the right time to do it. But I mean, when you got a bunch of assholes staring you down from a panel, you know, they don't have any problem coming at you and attacking you or questioning your credibility. Exactly. I mean. Who the excuse my French, but who the fuck made them God? You know what I mean? They know zero about what's going on. They just only have their own perceptions and their agendas. And like, you know, I would rather see the passion at those moments and at least be able to drop a mic as you walk out of that one, you know, and then really hit home with certain conversations for certain audiences, right? You know, I think Trump wants, like John brought it up. You know, I mean, yeah, there's all the little, you know, things that, you know, Trump might be concerned about, because I think he just sort of leans to whatever thing seems to be the right thing to do at the time. But you know, he cares about business and the economy and capitalism and making money, and that's the moment when you sit down and you have the Connollys who speak to you, realize how many businesses are going to go out, people are going to lose everything they've saved their life for, and all these vendors and distributors are going to lose their jobs, and the people that work for them, you know, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be completely out of work. Now look at us. I mean, we're all totally F now. I mean, people can't get those jobs. So, you know, you have that conversation then, but when you need to make an impact statement, you know, the people that are writing the law and getting ready to throw it to Trump, you know, they need to hear, you know, they need to hear the boots on the ground sentiment.
Right. I did a podcast. I started the David G podcast where I wanted to bring people, and my good friend Kevin Crowley. I don't know if you know Kevin.
Yep.
He's got like my sidekick. I don't do anything. I used to, not so much lately. But he was my go-to guy for vetting things and fact checking and making sure that whatever came out of my mouth was, you know, correct, you know, or at least, you know, verifiable, you know, and because he's very smart and he's good at what he does, the vaping news. And so I wanted to do something like that, and that was about a year ago. And then everything stopped for me. But that doesn't mean that I can't come back and do it again. Like your show, I could do your show every week, you know, and have fun doing it and get people to call in with questions that maybe I could be a part of, you know, getting some answers to them that they have felt ignored over the last couple of years because of what's been going on, not only with the COVID thing, but also, you know, the lack of conventions, because people miss those. People went there to get information. Not many, but some. It only takes one. You know, when you try a lung surgeon, he's not trying to save the world. He's trying to save that one.
Yeah.
And he gets paid $400,000 to do it, whether they survive or not. You know, so. We have an opportunity to save lives, and I mean it seriously. I'm not being bullshit. You know, I'm not telling you something you don't know. You know, people are going to live longer if they quit smoking. People will live healthier if they find ways to enhance the quality of their life with something that's not destroying them. And vaping is not going to destroy you. There's zero number of people who died from vaping. I don't care what anybody says. The lies coming in from the FDA and the CDC and the AMA and the Truth Initiative and PAVE. You know, those
Paid.
Well, that's a big point though too. Is back when 2016 hit and, you know, the regulations hit and all that stuff. I used to work at shops and stuff like that, and we were restricted on what we could say to customers, like what we couldn't say and all that stuff. Right. But yet, the anti groups were able to say lies all they wanted to, sure. And absolutely nothing was done about it. And so, but people would believe them and not us because, you know, we're in the industry, you know, type thing. And the best I can do is just tell you my story, like how it got me from smoking to vaping and all that stuff, like how better I feel. And, you know, what can I do to help you? That's my whole mantra is like, what can I do to help you?
Well, that's why the CASA group is so important, and always has been, because it's consumer oriented, consumer driven, you know, and where you have an opportunity to share your story, and, you know, but they need a couple bucks here and there to keep themselves alive too. And, you know, I know Alex living up in New York, and, you know, he's got a lot on his plate, and he's got a lot of traveling to do, and he's got a lot of stress. And so does Julie, you know, but we all do, but not so much where you have to be looked upon as being failures. And they're not failures. They just didn't have a big enough army to help them get to where they needed to go. You know, they got close, and a little win here and a little win there is not enough to win the game. You know, you can get on the board, but it's not going to win the game for you or the pennant. So
you always lose by a field goal. You always lose by a field goal.
Well, I'm just putting it out there on your show that I'm ready to get back in the game. I'm ready to do what I have to do, but I'm not going to do things that I don't want to do that are not going to be beneficial for my purpose and my goal. You know, I only worry about a problem I have a solution for. You know, I can't worry about who's going to win the election. I can't worry about immigration. I can't worry about, you know, the economy as much as I'd like. I'm concerned, you know, but I'm at the point where I can only worry about my time that I have left, whatever that is, 5 years, 10 years. Hopefully it's longer, but I got to be able to be healthy to do it. And right now I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty healthy. I got to lose a couple pounds. I'm tired of being stuck in the house. You know, I got to start walking my dog more, and I got to, you know, get back in shape. And I want to get in touch with people that I've known for the last, you know, 6, 7 years, and let them know that I'm available to help in any way I can for those who want to get back on the saddle with me or the buggy I'm riding. And that goes for you guys too. You know, whatever I can do to help you get your message out there to bring in more, you know, listeners to where they can see that we have a purpose, and that is not to be greedy. You know, I'm sure you're all millionaires now, right? I mean, is that right?
Yeah.
I know Brian is, right?
Yeah. Just sitting here in my 40-room mansion.
Yeah.
Nothing better to do.
I think we need to grab the ball and run with it. Okay. And whoever, whatever play we have to play, okay, whatever strategy we have to make, we don't have to overthink it. We don't have to have a meeting to discuss the meeting that we want to have and meet.
Meeting to discuss the meeting for the meeting. Yeah.
Just do it. Let's take it. What do we have to lose? We have nothing to lose. But we have people that will listen to us if we have the right ear, right hashtag. I can Twitter if I have to. I mean, I'd rather eat a bowling ball.
Same.
I'm just not technically savvy, So I have Kevin Crowley, my guy that I would go to and say, Kevin,
make it hard for me, Dave.
Huh?
It's trying to figure out those 140 characters.
Oh.
That's what I can't do it.
That's a challenge for any mortal human on that website.
Yeah. Well, I do know that You Don't Know Nicotine is coming out soon. I know that Aaron Biebert's trying to get it out. You know what I'm talking about, right? The movie You Don't Know.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he got the Kickstarter on that, and he's been a buddy of mine. His whole family. He's like my second son. You know the story about when we did the tour of A Billion Lives, right? I got stuck in Istanbul for a week. Did you hear that?
Yep. Yeah.
I've only been in the airport, and that was enough for me.
Yeah.
I was actually in Milwaukee with the premiere and stuff. So
Who was?
I was.
Oh yeah. We met, right? We met in Milwaukee.
I met you there, and I also met you in Dallas, Texas at Showcase too.
Oh, okay. Well, the movie was really, really good for me, but then they went on tour and they wouldn't let me go into India. So I'm stuck in Istanbul for 6 days with martial law. And that was the night Trump was elected, actually, November 6th.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm stuck in this hotel with no language skills. I didn't have a visa. I wasn't allowed out of the room. Okay. Because they had to go on to India without me, but they stopped me from going because you know the story, right?
No,
Okay.
tell the story. I don't anyway.
Well, when I quit smoking back in 88 rather, the following year, the Surgeon General in Washington gave me the World Health Organization Medal of Honor. It was a gold medal presented to me in Washington by the then Surgeon General C. Everett Koop, Ron Davis, and the WHO guy, whoever the American ambassador to the World Health Organization was. The woman was Margaret Chen. She was from China. She was the executive director of WHO over in Geneva. So I got the award, and they got plaque, and there was a lot of hoopla, and because of my stance against big tobacco, which was admirable. It was nice that they recognized me. Well, then of course, 89 comes along, and then of course, World Health Organization starts bad-mouthing vaping, which they wanted to ban it worldwide. They were going to have their 180 country convention in New Delhi at the same time that Aaron was going to premiere the movie in New Delhi. So we were on a 6-country tour. And but the year before, I was so pissed off at the World Health Organization for trying to ban vaping, that I sent the gold medal back to Geneva with a note telling her to shove it up her ass. Okay? And she apparently didn't take kindly to that. She didn't care for that. Or it wasn't her because she was no longer there. It was somebody else. But the word got out that I was coming to New Delhi, with the movie. So when I got to Istanbul from Chicago, they wouldn't let me on the plane to New Delhi to continue my tour. So the crew had to go on to New Delhi. I'm stuck in a hotel for 6 days and with no money, no visa, and no language skills. I think I had and I think Aaron gave me all the cash he had, to like $18. And I couldn't even get out of the airport. So the police had to take me to the hotel. They didn't have any ambassadorships. So when they came back from New Delhi, I got back to the airport and met them, and we went on to Budapest. And then from there, we completed our tour. So, I mean, I got a lot of desire and a lot of interesting stories about my working in the vaping industry as well as the tobacco industry. So I thought a 3-series documentary would be good. But I only got the first one done and half the second one because of the virus thing hit. So so I'm waiting to see what happens. But I have some great friends out there, who like me and appreciate what I do. But unfortunately, they're few and far between anymore because everybody's distracted. Everybody's got worry. They got families. They got to pay bills. But at what point do we regroup and bring our passion back for the right reasons? Let's do it for the reasons that our original intention was, and that is to help save lives. And
we don't have much time left. That's for damn sure.
I know. So I mean, now that's why I think things happen for a reason. I'm not a very religious guy, but my dad was a Baptist preacher. And I've lived my life the way I wanted to live, and he let me, and my brothers did too. And I lost one brother to cancer, and my other brother is down in Florida. We all have our different personalities, and my personality seems to precede me when it comes to hopefully being honest and fair. I may not say the right word or use the right analogy or the right terminology because of my lack of formal education in college or whatever. But tough shit. I am what I am, but I am what I am. And a lot of people respect me for that, and I respect them too. So I'm looking forward to getting back to where I should be, and that is, stay healthy, get better, use my history and the words that I have to hopefully enhance people's life.
Get more involved. Hopefully they see that you need to be more involved, and I hope they all see that.
Well, I think they do, but like I said, I'm gonna just back it up and just repeat it. A lot of people think I just fell off the face of the earth, and I didn't. So, and my personal life doesn't need to be out as an open book for everybody because I went through hell.
Having you escorted out of Congress session would make the news, and that's what they need. That's what we need. We need to get in the media. We need to be front and center on CNN. We need to be front and center on CBS. All that stuff, because right now,
Dave escorted out of a judiciary hearing, going, "Tase me, bro, tase me."
I would just like to go up to AOC and ask her to make me a rum and Diet Coke.
Yeah, that would be great.
She's a good bartender, Well, tase me, bro, tase me.
We need something. That's the only way we make it. It's the only time that we make the news. Is
I told Aaron one time, we were talking about my first documentary, and I said, "You know what we really need? I need to disappear for 5 or 6 days where nobody knows where I'm at, and let the world think that I've been kidnapped or something, And I'm letting the cat out of the bag now, but that was before my wife died, when I did the first one. And I told her that. She said, "Don't you ever think, yeah, I got to do that." But that's what it takes. It takes something dramatic.
And leave it trail cigarettes. Disappear. Leave it trail cigarettes.
And I'm found with Nicorette patches all over my body, like they did with Aaron Eckhart and Thank You for Smoking. You ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm just putting it out there. So whoever's listening out there who knows me, and a lot of people, did call me today saying they heard that I was going to be getting back into this. And I said, well, yeah, I just don't know what you guys are all about. I don't know if you're dicks or what, but you're not.
Yeah. Well, that's good, I guess.
I'll take that compliment.
Well, I think it would we've had some wonderful guests on the show, but I mean, just for Dave's benefit, I think the reason why the four of us are doing what we're doing is, well, we're all we're all heavily embedded in the whole vaping industry. Sure. I mean, we have a lot of collective years here, and it means something to us. We care about it. But the group that we're broadcasting in now, the Example Box group, is really a menagerie of people from all different levels of vaping. You've got you've got expert levels all the way down to the real new vapors that are coming onto the scene, and we really are vested in making sure that the people that are involved in that group, that they get the right information and that that their questions are answered and all that. And so we love having someone like you come on the show, because the people that are listening in the group, they get to see that there's more to it than just vaping. They don't hear all that. So I mean, these are paramount moments, and we're trying to bring it back to that grassroots discussion again, and let people feel involved and feel like there's something worth fighting for, because now it does feel like a lot of people
That's a good plan and a good strategy. And is Tony B still at Example Box? I mean, is they still running that Example Box thing?
Tony, you talking about the owner of
Yeah.
Sample Box?
Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, Tony's
Yeah, Tony M.
Tony M. Tony B is the Vandy Vape guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I remember I was going to get involved with them when I was looking to do some branding, put my name on something out there. And I thought that was a great concept, the Example Box, and of course I didn't get involved with them. I went with Vapes Gone Wild down in Atlanta, or outside of Atlanta.
Wouldn't that have been cool, guys, if you could have had the David Goerlitz signature edition Sample Box?
Yeah,
Let's call it 100 different strawberries.
10,000 different strawberries. I just know that you guys, you're fun to talk to. You're easy to talk to. I just think that the age difference doesn't matter. I don't care if you're 40 or 80. Okay, I can get along with just about anybody. I got 8 grandkids. I got 2 great grandkids. And my grandkids think I'm a pretty cool man. Because I'm not your typical. I didn't even know my grandparents. I didn't even know. They all died before I was. I knew them. So I'm very involved with my grandkids and the kids that I have. I got 3 very wonderful children, 8 grands and 2 great grands. So I want to make them understand that this is a world that they need to fight in. They just can't lay back and let people railroad them and run over roughshod on them. I'm not going to let that happen. So they got to be strong. They got to be not afraid. And that's me. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything that comes my way. I know that I'm doing it for the right reasons. My heart is pure, and I'll make mistakes along the way. But I think that you guys, being a voice for the vapors that are out there, I think you need to remain strong and get louder. There's nothing wrong with being loud. As long as your information you're spewing is correct, and we know it is. So at least I know it is. So
yeah.
Well, one of the things that we kind of say is quit being a cheerleader, quit being a fan, be a player.
That's right. And stop complaining from the cheap seats. We have too many of the people, criticizing. Like I said, you do 99 things right, and nobody knows. But that one person in the cheap seats will call you on it. So who cares? Come right back. And, I made a mistake, or I misspoke, or whatever. But I don't usually misspeak. I usually know what I'm talking about. Number one, because I lived it. This is my story. Nobody can tell me that what I'm saying is not true because I lived it. I'm not supposing. I'm not speculating. I'm not thinking, well, maybe this happened. No, I lived it. I know they told me the right to smoke was reserved for the young, the poor, the black, and the stupid. And now, with Black Lives Matter and them wanting to remove, menthol from the flavor ban, the flavor ban, now they want my story. From 1988, too damn late. You had your chance, and now we're going to go with the people that I think are most important, and that is the 10 million vapors should have the right to continue to remain healthy, and the 40 million remaining smokers, and that is, teach children that they shouldn't smoke, vape, or do any of that, but they will. Kids are going to be kids. Right now we lose 12 to 15 kids a day because they're texting and driving. You're losing thousands of kids from binge drinking. You got kids that are not having safe sex. And we're losing 400,000 people a year, but we're scared to death because, we lost some people to COVID, and 85% of them, are over 75 years of age. Not that matters, but, I think we got some hoaxes going on and some misinformation. Yeah. So my goal is to keep the young people off of vaping and cigarettes, until they're old enough to make a decision. And if you're 21 and you want to vape, go ahead, because I believe that it's a better alternative for you than smoking anyway. So there's any ways you can take this. You got to be 21 to vape, but you can go to war at 18, and you can't drink, but you can carry a gun and kill people in Afghanistan. So you can argue anything. I'm not going to argue with people who just want to argue. I'm going to tell the facts, and that's why I think it'd be a good idea if Donald and I could sit down and have a little chit chat. And I've been with Trump. That would be great. I would love to have that opportunity, but
he just had to sit down with that idiot from Barstool. I mean, fuck! If he sits down with that fucking clown, give me a fucking break. I'm sorry. You, I mean, he's the president. Don't get me wrong. I respect him as the president, but seriously,
Yeah.
that fucking YouTube guy, Barstool Sports, that idiot. You're gonna sit down with that guy? I
Yeah,
mean,
who else he had? He had a guy that I met one time, the guy from My Pillow. You know,
Oh yeah. The ex crackhead.
Yeah, the ex-crackhead. He's now a multimillionaire for selling pillows. You know,
just in case, Dave Porte, if you're watching this or ever, I love you, guy. You're a great guy. You're a great guy, but you know you shouldn't be sitting down with the president. I'm sorry. That's it. Do your pizza reviews, your one bite slice reviews.
Yeah.
But sit down with the president. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, all I can tell you is I'll do whatever I have to do, and you know I'll keep my mouth going, but I'm going to make sure that what comes out of it is correct, and it's not just anger and vile information and spewing misinformation. So that's not going to happen.
He would like Tim said, and I said, he's a business guy. He's all about making money.
Sure.
And he knows. I mean, you can see if you watch that debate, you can see in his face. He's not listening to all the bullshit. He's listening to numbers. You could see it in his face when the numbers pop up, his eyebrows light up because that's how he thinks. He thinks money, numbers.
That's why I like him. I don't need a president who's a politician.
No. I mean,
God didn't make him a perfect person, but he made him the man that's perfect for the job, as far as I'm concerned. But that's a different story altogether. But you're right. He lights up when he's talking money.
When it's money, he lights up. That's how his fucking brain has worked since he's been a child, man. Because he had that.
I don't argue with my kids about religion or politics or sex. It's just not something I do. I have a son-in-law who's a born-again Christian who's a street preacher in Camden, New Jersey, and very over the top. I have that's my son-in-law. And my son is a agnostic, I guess he is. And my youngest daughter just is one of those that doesn't give a shit. She just, she's oblivious to the whole thing because she works with dead people because she's a mortician, so she doesn't know. But I tell my kids, leave your shit outside. When you come over to my house, we don't talk about these things that are going to put us in because none of us are going to make a difference anyway. Okay, and I can't control it, but I can control what I say about vaping. I can control what I say and know about the tobacco industry. I can honestly put my words into my lips and tell people the truth and let people know that what they believe is most likely true. So now why do you keep giving them a free pass? I don't give free passes anymore. I call it like it is. I'm not a referee. I'm just going to tell you what it is. So I appreciate you guys letting me be on your show tonight. I mean, I'd like to.
We'd love to be back.
What time? How long have we been on? 10 minutes?
We've got about 8 minutes left, and
we do 2 hours.
Yeah,
that's like nobody wants to hear us blather for any longer than that.
So, what other questions do you have about me? Anything?
Well, I actually had a group hypothetical, right? I mean, this might be a large topic to finish on, but being that we're all kind of in the same boat and we're all trying to do our own part, I think Dave's got probably a little bit more leg to stand on here. But so, if vaping goes into a prohibition period, I mean, obviously we have countries all over the world that have banned it for different reasons, right? So, I know it's banned in Dubai, it's banned in Singapore. I mean, everything's for different. Not all this banning isn't all because of the master settlement agreement. That's our issue here in America, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say the light goes out on vaping for a considerable number of people and countries. Is there a silver lining? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Is there something that causes the tide to change at a later time? Do you think it's the pro-vaping countries that endorse it that change the tide or cause the light to go back on? Or what is that positive on the heels of potentially a big negative right now?
Okay, well, that's a really good point, good question, because I have an answer to that in my own words. I've seen everything. Prohibition doesn't work. It never did work, and it won't work with this. Okay, I think there'll be a comeback when we expose the tobacco industry for what they're doing. The IQOS people, they have the money. I mean, Philip Morris and RJ Reynolds with IQOS, the heat not burn. That's going to probably be the number one product being used by people who are trying to quit smoking. Okay, they're going to own it. They're going to have 5 or 6 different brands of heat not burn. Okay, because they're trying to get out of the burning nicotine packet. They really are. Okay, Marlboro, Philip Morris, R.J. Reynolds, PMI, they all want the market to go away because they know their products kill, and they know that people aren't going to stand for it, and the younger generation is not smoking as much as they used to. I mean, they're still smoking. I don't care what anybody says. You know, they can say that teenagers aren't smoking. Yeah, they are at around 12 to 14%. And vaping, they're only about 4 to 5%, if that. Okay. Do I see that changing? Yeah. Eventually, Philip Morris is going to just do strictly vaping. They're going to come up with the heat not burn. R.J. Reynolds will. British American Tobacco will. Imperial Tobacco will. American Tobacco will. Brown and Williamson will. All these people that are left are going to right now stop paying the master settlement agreement. Mm-hmm. They're going to put their money into product marketing, products that now are going to now bring the other 40 million smokers into vaping because they're going to make it affordable. They're going to make it regulated, and it's going to be reasonably priced. Okay, so you're going to see them control the market again. And right now, Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds have tobacco farms all over the world. Okay, even in the place where it's banned, Singapore. There's big tobacco farms in Singapore.
Oh yeah,
it's just all exported out. I was in China, and 51% of the tobacco stock market was owned by the government of China. 51%, and I was over in Taipei, Taiwan. Same thing. So they know that the money is there, the greed is there, will always outweigh fear, but they're going to convince the people to come back to vaping because it's a safer alternative. Because they all believe it. The politicians know it too. So does Trump. Okay. But what they're going to do is the vaping industry is not going to survive, in my opinion, the way we've known it. You're not going to have vape shops. You're going to have IQO shops. You're going to have Juul shops. You're going to have Views shops, Mark 10 shops. You're going to have, owned by and controlled by big tobacco. That's just the way it is. We've let it happen. Okay. They've been around since the turn of the last century, is with roll your own, make your own. So I do see these other countries allowing heat not burn eventually because people are going to smoke and they're not going to be able to stop them at some point because the generation of lawmakers is dying out. The people that are making the laws now are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and within 10 years they'll be gone. And the new generation will come up and they're probably going to be vapors, smokers, drinkers, and pedophiles. Pedophilia is now a sexual orientation.
Exactly. Apparently, yeah.
So, I think it's going to come around because we're always going to have smoking. Hitler, was killing people if they smoked. If you were a soldier and you were smoking, you got killed. He killed it. He hated smoking, and he didn't allow it. So it survived Germany, and now Germans smoke and vape and do whatever they want to do. These countries that are looking for ways to control their population, okay, Dubai and Singapore and Malaysia and all these other places that are banning it, they'll come back. They're going to, because their economy is going to require it. Economy is going to want the taxation, but they got to take one step at a time because right now there's just so much on our plate with what's going on in the world. Nobody gives a shit about like CBD. CBD came on because everybody was talking about vaping. CBD snuck in the back door, and then the marijuana. Then we have 27 states that are now able to get medical marijuana, and then it's going to be 44, and then it's going to be 50 by the end of the year or next year. So, I do believe that it's going to stay here. It's here to stay, but not the way we know it.
Yeah.
Do the flavors come back though? Because that seems to be the primary attack. I mean, and the reality is that vaping doesn't go away altogether, right? I mean, we're all bitching and moaning and whining because we're going to have tobacco flavors, which is a flavor in its own right. But I mean, we would theoretically have something as a last resort, right? So that's government's ace in the hole. It's like, well, we're not really taking it away from you. We're just taking away everything that we think markets to the kids. Right. Never mind those 35 flavors of vodka that we can sell, either way. But what I'm saying is, do the flavors come back?
Yeah, I think you'll be able to get some flavors back, but it won't be in the kind, because Philip Morris doesn't need it. We still got 40 million people who are going to continue to smoke or vape. And they don't care because right now the smokers aren't smoking anything but tobacco or menthol. They don't have flavors. But the 10 million people who got off of cigarettes because they had the option to stay off of cigarettes because they found something that was great for their palate. Okay, they're going to have to change. We have to change. I mean, my grandparents used an outhouse to go take a dump. Okay, I don't have to do that anymore. So you're going to see a progress, and I think flavors will come back, but not the way we know it. Maybe 4 or 5 different flavors.
Yeah.
Look at Cuomo, what he did a couple of days ago. He okayed the sale of ice cream alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
what a schmuck.
God, that guy's an idiot.
Flavors from vaping, but it's okay to get ice cream, which of course kids don't like ice cream.
No, I've never met a kid that liked ice cream. Never mind that good humor truck that comes down my street every damn day.
Richard Blumenthal up in Connecticut. I can't stand that.
Yeah, he's another one.
I hate his guts. I mean, I used to stand next to him in these programs because he used to like to, stand with me, and because he used to wear those padded shoulder things.
But that's what I'm saying. These guys don't fucking give a shit. I mean, he makes me laugh from the moment he said, "So what?"
Yeah, I know vaping is safer, but so what?
Yeah. But when you have these people, you know what? I think when we embarrass enough people, we embarrass them with information that's truthful and vetted, and it gets out there and the public knows it. I don't think Mr. Bill Clinton's ever going to have another BJ in the White House ever again. I think he's careful now.
No, probably not.
I probably not, because he's been embarrassed, and he's been called on it.
I'm sure he won't get invited for dinner at the White House either anytime soon.
Yeah, right. So I'm just saying, when you embarrass people like Cuomo, whether I don't care if he has a nipple ring or not, I don't care what he's walking around. It doesn't matter to me. But when you got Blumenthal, who's a liar, who said he went to Vietnam and he never did, and his answer to being called on it was he misspoke. He never went to Vietnam, but he said he was in Vietnam. So, but misspeaking and lying, you have to embarrass these people. And some of them can't be embarrassed because they're idiots and they're not even human. They're just walking dead.
They're too idiotic to realize they've been embarrassed.
I don't want to say, that how can they not see New Yorkers see the stupidity in that whole theory right there of, okay, why is ice cream okay?
You can't. There's no logic. And remember what I said earlier. Sometimes
they have to see that. People have to see that, unless they have this. The stupidest fucking voters in the country. I mean, it's.
But see, we got where we really got stymied on the argument too was when the THC carts got all thrown into the mix. They would have had a much harder time.
With E-Valley,
maybe making the argument had they not had that one little bone thrown to them, which had nothing to do with us. It just allowed them to conflate an issue.
That's why that one little bone. Okay, I would like to be the bone and get thrown out of Congress yelling, "Tase me, tase me."
Yeah, exactly.
All it takes is one opportunity to get the public behind you, whether it's good or bad. Yeah. And I would rather get the public behind me and get rid of these paid women, okay, and let them raise their children and play mahjong, like I said, and get the hell out of Washington and do what they're supposed to do, and that is raise their children, okay, because it's not an epidemic. Vaping is not an epidemic with kids. And even if it was, it's still 95% safer than the cigarettes that they're going to be smoking, the Camels, the Parliaments, and the Cools, and the Newports. So there's any number of ways to argue this, but you got to have an ear, and you got to have time to get the facts out. That's why you were talking about you have these legislative hearings where you get 30 seconds or a minute to speak.
Ridiculous.
You can't get your name out in a minute, and then they shut you down, just like they did with Bill Barr last Tuesday, where they wouldn't let him speak. I'm not looking for that kind of excitement when it comes to my career. My career is behind me. I want to undo the damage that I did do and hopefully present a better image for my kids to see that their dad made some mistakes, but he's owning up to it and trying to fix it, which is what I've been trying to do for 20 years. So this is an opportunity that I have to let your listeners know that I'm around. I'm coming back somehow. May not be quite as strong as I was before, but I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to do what's best for me and my goals and my passion for people and human beings. I like the human factor. I just don't like the human condition of some people.
But we appreciate your time, David. We really-
Absolutely.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
it was a pleasure having you on the show. We're at 2 hours and 3 minutes. I don't want it to run any longer.
Like last week.
Yeah, like last week.
Well, there was no wine involved this
Yeah,
week.
yeah, we had. Yeah,
Well,
I
you
had.
guys were good. You guys were really good.
I had a whole bottle of wine last week, and that wasn't smart to do on the air.
I'm going to have one as soon as I get off with you guys.
There you go.
I need an adult beverage because I just went through
Drink them if you got them.
I went through a hurricane.
Yeah,
Right.
right. That's right.
You deserve it.
I am bad. So it's nice seeing you guys. Nice meeting you all. I look
Yes.
forward to working with you again. All right.
Thank you.
David.
Thank you.
Reach
All
out
right,
later.
buddy. Yep.
Bye bye.
How do I get out of here?
Leave studio at the bottom. There's a little
Yeah,
bar.
Little bar says leave.
A big red X at the bottom of your screen should say leave studio.
I can remove you. It doesn't
I
matter.
got it.
There you go.
All right, guys. Thanks again. Should we do goodbyes? Should we give you? Let's let Tom start first. Go ahead, Tommy boy.
All right. I want to.
You can't say it.
No, there's a comment that just came in. I was reading that. Shut up.
Oh, sure.
I have
There is. It's right there. It's an awesome show.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for all of your efforts, David. Thank you. RB MK 2 Eyes.
His name's David.
David.
No, his name's not David. I mean, he was thanking David who was on the show.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, I know. No, I said that's what I read. Awesome show. Thanks, guys. And
I know. I was playing around.
you're stalling for fucking Tom, is what you're doing.
Yeah.
I can wait.
Let Tom go. Go.
I
Go,
can
Tommy,
wait.
go.
I got all night.
but we
All
don't.
Hey, that's on you, not me.
All right. Shh. Everyone shut up.
You done?
A few moments later.
That was a good one. All right. I want to thank David for taking the time to be on the show. Thank you guys, for us all being here and hanging out. The few comments that we got, thank you guys. Join CASA, do what you can, and good night. Brian, you're up.
Go, Brian.
Just want to thank David for coming on. Great guy. He's got a lot of stories, and we're gonna try to see if we can get him on some more. Sometime I'd like to hear more stories and more, talking with him. We like to thank all of our guests for always coming on. It's always great. As kind of what I said earlier, try to get into being a player instead of being a cheerleader and being in the stand. Let's try to keep doing something, at least something. So, I mean, that's really all we got. So, appreciate it. Thank you for watching again.
And Tim, wait.
Oh, good gravy. Why is all the pressure on me at this point? You see the microphone. You see it. No, anyway. I want to kind of coattail off of what Brian just said and throw in the caveat is what Tom said. But no, but Brian
thank you. So
exactly. Well, Brian made a really good point, and that is that the reason why we're doing the show is hopefully to make to at least let everybody feel like there is a reason to be a player. And I'll admit that tonight was the first time I'd ever watched A Billion Lives. And to anybody who's watching, it's continue with the messaging, continue to get it out there. And if you have an opportunity, where I thought A Billion Lives really benefit not only with David's story, which led him to here, but moreover, let people who are not people in the vaping world with it's information we already know, but tell people who need to hear the truth to watch that movie. And I that's my one takeaway is that is a really good vessel to get our message out. And it's a documentary. So everybody likes documentaries, right?
Everybody does.
But beyond that,
for you to watch,
just keep fighting the good fight, and don't be silent.
Mm-hmm.
Vape on, vape strong, Rock on.
And vape line.
Tim, how much was that for you to watch that?
It cost me a whopping $1.50 for a 3-day rental.
3 days.
And what did you watch it on?
I watched it on my computer, Brian. I went to abillionlives.com and you can go right there and you can either buy it for $5 and have it forever and you can distribute it freely at will. You can gift it to somebody for the same $1.50 or you can watch it yourself. So there's plenty of options there. But I think it needs to be seen. It was made in 2016, but it stands true today.
It's a classic. It's already a classic.
It's like Clockwork Orange. It's a cult film.
It's a cult film.
A cult documentary.
Yep.
All right. Thank you to David for coming on the show and my 3 amazing hosts right there, Tim, Tom, and Brian. Awesome as always. Remember the link down there below, CASA. Join CASA if you're not part of CASA. And again, we stress it, guys, open those emails. They know when those emails are open, guys. Open them, read them, pay attention, stay informed. It's free on Tubi
Tubi TV.
BB. Open those
on Tubi. I didn't know that. See?
Yeah, I didn't either. But again, open those emails, read them, pay attention to what's going on, stay informed. Don't be that guy, that says, "Oh shit, this is gone." Don't be that guy. And another thing, if it's not too late in your state, I don't know how it works on every state, but register to vote, guys. Please register to vote. That is the beginning of it all. If you want to be part of any advocacy group, it's so important to be a voter, because if you're not a voter, you don't count. And that's right. The bottom line. That's the bottom line, because these politicians, they don't care, because all they care about is your vote. And if you're not a registered voter, they have nothing to fear from you, because you're going to do nothing. You're going to do nothing but be a loud voice that nobody's going to listen to. So register to vote if it's not too late. And I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but just register to vote. You can register independent if you want, Republican, Democrat. It doesn't matter. Tea Party. Well, I don't even know what all the fucking parties are that are out there now. But register. That's the most.
Lollipop Guild. We don't care.
The Shenanigans Group. Whatever. You made me say shenanigans. Damn it.
Just so you know, in North Dakota, you don't have to register to vote.
Okay. Yeah. Your state doesn't count.
No.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. But no, just register to vote and be informed. Open the CASA emails, read them, see what's going on. Because put it this way: if you're getting an email that's not on Sunday from CASA, that means you're getting an email that's for your area. It's a call of action for your area. So pay attention to those. Open those. What else, man? What Tom said, what Tim said, and what Brian said.
Great way to end the show.
Yes, and
perfect. Works.
Of course, we always end the show with this great song. Come on. And Tim does his dance.
Yeah. It's me,
Jackie Moon. Let's get registered to vote and let's get bathtub sweaty. That's what I'm talking about. Get bathtub sweaty.
All right.
All right. Peace out. Love you guys. See you next Wednesday.
See you later. Take care, everybody.
Get a bathtub full of sweaty.